This is Lagos, where anything can happen. In other parts of the country, an official's convoy gets their way in beating the traffic for security reasons best known to them. But in Lagos, even the presidential convoy can get stuck here, and there is nothing you can do about it. Everyone here looks and acts like a suspect. Police acting like Agbaros, and Agbaros looking more decent than what you may have heard about them. You can as well imagine what it looks like when you find officers on duty dining and wining on the same table with the Agbaros. Dotun Craig is the husband of Professor Stella Craig, who's the Director General of the Nigerian Energy and Oil Company. As a respectable personality in the country, he is not bigger than the law here. He told his orderly to be patient with the traffic. It didn't take long before what seemed to be usual happened. But this was a high-profile kidnapping. It won't come that easy. There was heavy shooting, and everyone needed to find safety. Dotun was the target here, but he didn't come down from his bulletproof car. Angelo doesn't talk too much. Doing it the other way can be an alternative if Dotun wants to make it difficult for himself. For the sake of the baby, he's without a choice here. The police opened fire again, but as heartrending as it may look, it was an official assignment. Taju just shot his men. They successfully got away with Dotun and the baby, but killed the orderly and maid. But somehow the police got some reinforcement again, and one of Angelo's closest men was caught. Taju could do nothing now to save him, as they were surrounded. The news was now everywhere, and the media described the suspect, who was caught, as a male, tall, dark, and with dreadlocked hair. What ransom are the kidnappers demanding from Craig's family? Stella Craig must step down as the Director General of NEOC, but first she has to be punished for making it difficult for the big dogs, General Issa and his associates who run the oil field. She must choose who survives between her husband or the child. Angel had no time to waste. He killed the baby. Stella immediately appended her resignation. Regardless of the protest by the masses, a new Director General of NEOC was appointed. And even after her resignation, Dotun Craig was still murdered. Meanwhile, Paul Edima and his son Damalola lived happily alone in a remote settlement after the death of his wife a few years back. He is now a devoted and faithful servant of God, and he wants his son to follow in that path as well. But what do you expect from a boy in his early 20s? Paul Edima understands that it was only a matter of time that his son understood that it pays to serve God. As a matter of fact, Paul had dedicated his life towards spreading the good news. But who Paul Edima was or did is what we are about to uncover. Damalola wanted to surprise his dad by visiting him in the church, since that was what he always wanted for years now. They ran into a checkpoint, but unfortunately for the Wonder Kid, he had the same description as the bandit in their custody: male, tall, dark, and with dreadlocked hair. This criminal in question is the senator's son, and someone needed to fill in that description to clear the air. Poor Damalola was the package they had been searching for. This is how innocent people are killed in exchange for notorious criminals in the country. How wrong can this go? What country do we live in with corrupt men getting away with their evil deeds? Paul lost his wife, now his son. What's the purpose of existence without a legacy to look back to? Now the headline news is Damalola Edima, the notorious bandit who masterminded the kidnapping of Craig's family. According to the story, Damalola died in a gunfight with policemen during the operation. At least Paul should give his son a befitting burial, but the mortuary wouldn't release the body until the investigation was over. On the other side, Victoria Kalu is not just a journalist, but a prolific character at that, who took over from her mother. Her mother was known as the most fearless journalist in her time, who was assassinated while trying to expose drug smugglers at the highest level. Victoria has been on the research to continue the storyline of her late mother, but her boss, Judith, won't let her work piece go public for reasons best served for the company. Victoria made some diggings about Damalola from the taxi driver and his work colleagues. She knows he's innocent. She wants to help Paul make a strong case against the police for wrongful death, but Paul just wants to bury his son. TK, his friend, has always been there for him. Paul knows that he sinned terribly in his past, and he deserves the punishment from God for taking away his son. But what he wouldn't accept is accusing his son for what he is not. TK understood the system, and the only way to exonerate his son's name is the other way. But Paul wouldn't want to go back to that life. What kind of life did Paul and his friend lived? If a man be in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are new again. So does a child of God believe? Paul wants to see the case file of his son, but no one would listen to him. He's now treated like the father of a criminal, but that shouldn't warrant laying hands on him. But they tend to have awakened the sleeping cat. This is not what he wants. The officers arrested him, but somehow Victoria was at the station for the same reason. She was granted permission to see Paul in the cell. Victoria proposed to help, but he wouldn't let her. She promised to come bail him the following morning. Paul faced torture that night from the deputy commissioner and his boys. If only they knew who they were dealing with. They then dump him by the riverside. Victoria couldn't find him in the station, so she decided to come to his house. Paul survived the ill treatment from the officers. Vic wanted to know what happened, but Paul wouldn't talk to her. Victoria kept wondering what kind of a man Paul Edima was with what she was seeing. She tried as much as possible to keep her cool, while she tried to give him every reason why they could put up a case. Paul is more concerned about Victoria risking her own life for such a fight. Paul believes that vengeance is of the Lord. He wants her to leave the battle for God. Victoria doesn't believe in such words. Leaving it for God is the reason why so many innocent young men are killed under the pretext of them being criminals, and no one speaks for them. Those words sank into Paul. You know, not every pain should be left for God to fight when you have the strength to fight. The wounded cat has just awoken. So who's Paul Edima? He is the most dangerous man in the history of the country. He served in the Nigerian military and has executed 23 assassinations, completed 113 domestic operations, and successfully plotted 8 coups d'etats in West Africa since 1984 without a trace. Even General Issa was afraid of him. To begin with cleaning up the mess, Taju and his boys must go down first. Like I said earlier, in the streets of Lagos, everyone is a suspect. Little children are the real scouts in the jungle. It shouldn't take an arm and leg to track down a man who patronizes harlots. Paul's military skills got the best part of him, but he didn't kill them. Victoria seemed excited this morning with smiles as she came looking for Paul. Paul just stepped out while the door was kept ajar. She walked in and found out that Paul wasn't the person she thought that he was. She was in Damilola's room when Paul came in. He sensed something, but the memories of his son sometimes made him get distracted. Paul has the recordings of Taju and his boys confessing. This was all Paul Edima wanted as proof that his son was innocent, but Victoria found the video on the camera and collected the memory card. She went straight to Judith to tell her what she found. This video clip was going to cause a lot of havoc if it escalated. Judith collected the memory card and destroyed it. She told Victoria that her mother was killed because she tried to uncover the affairs of deadly people. She wouldn't let the same thing happen to Victoria. She left frustrated. This is the biggest shock to hear. Judith was working with the big dogs. She had just leaked the information to the deputy commissioner about the confession his boys made on camera. It was obvious that the deputy commissioner doesn't know about Paul Edima. Senator Depot and Angelo found out that they had been playing with fire. Why Paul Edima's son of a million young boys out there on the street? They know Paul will come back to take revenge. General Issa must not know that Edima's son was the exchange for Senator Depot's son. The only way to make a case here is to tell the general that Paul Edima shot a decorated police officer. Can you guess what happens next? It's no longer a quest to save the innocent boy's name, but to uncover secrets that was swept under the rug for years. They have to kill Paul Edima or face his wrath. Watch out for the concluded part of the Black Book.
Thanks for watching. Please comment your thoughts and also like and share this video for more super amazing videos that we are bringing to you. And if you're watching from our YouTube channel, you can also subscribe and turn on your notification for more. Thank you.